The Guardian's Test. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the massive crystalline display, watching another failure unfold. The Myraxian ambassador, adorned in his ceremonial robes of office, collapsed to his knees as the ancient armor rejected him. The rejection manifested as a cascade of rainbow-colored light that left the dignitary speaking in what appeared to be ancient Earth pop lyrics. "Well, that's new," Sarah muttered, adding another tally to her growing list of failed attempts. After 14 months of research at the Mars Polar Research Station, the mysterious armor they'd discovered beneath the ice caps had rejected exactly 2,847 candidates from across the known galaxy. Each rejection seemed more creative than the last. The armor itself stood 9 feet tall in its inactive state, its surface a deep obsidian that seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it. Intricate patterns flowed across its surface like oil on water, never repeating, never staying still long enough to be properly documented. The only consistent feature was a faint blue glow emanating from what appeared to be its core. Dr. Chen, her assistant, Dr. Raj Patel, called out while helping the still-singing ambassador to his feet. "Perhaps we should take a break. The delegation from the Centauri Collective arrives tomorrow, and we need to reset the testing chamber." Sarah nodded, running her fingers through her short black hair in frustration. The discovery of the armor had sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Carbon dating suggested it was over 100,000 years old, predating every known civilization in the galaxy. Its composition defied analysis, and its purpose remained a mystery, though its militant appearance suggested it wasn't designed for peaceful meditation. "Begin shutdown procedures," she announced to her team. The research chamber hummed with activity as technicians powered down the various scanning equipment. The armor, as always, simply stood there, its surface pattern slowly shifting like a cosmic screensaver. As Sarah began dictating her daily report, a sudden alert blared through the facility. "Warning. Environmental systems critical. Atmospheric pressure dropping in sectors 7 through 12. "What now?" Sarah growled, switching her display to the environmental controls. Mars' harsh environment meant even minor system failures could become lethal within minutes. "Ma'am," one of her technicians called out, "something's wrong with the primary atmospheric processors. The backup systems aren't engaging properly." Sarah was already moving. "Evacuate non-essential personnel to the secure sectors. Get me engineering on the line." She'd worked too hard to lose her research facility to a mechanical failure. The response from engineering came through garbled and broken. "Trying to reach. Systems not responding. Manual restart required." Manual restart. Sarah felt her stomach drop. That meant someone would need to physically access the Environmental Control Center, located in one of the sectors rapidly losing atmosphere. "Where's our maintenance team?" "Still en route from Earth," Raj replied, his face pale. They weren't due for another week. The facility shuddered as another system failed. Sarah looked at her team, then at the armor that had consumed her professional life for the past year. If they lost the facility, they lost everything. "Lock down the research chamber. Secure all data. I'm heading to environmental control." "Dr. Chen, you can't," Raj protested. "The atmospheric seals are failing. Even with a pressure suit, it's too dangerous." "We don't have a choice," she snapped, already heading for the emergency equipment locker. "This facility houses the most important archaeological find in human history. I'm not losing it to a mechanical failure." As she suited up, Sarah couldn't help but notice the armor's surface patterns had changed. Instead of their usual flowing randomness, they seemed to be forming distinct shapes. Was that a question mark? The trip to environmental control was harrowing. Even through her pressure suit, Sarah could feel the dropping pressure. Warning lights flashed everywhere, and emergency bulkheads were dropping throughout the facility. She made it to the control center just as the last of the atmosphere vented. The environmental control panel was a nightmare of red warning lights and critical alerts. Sarah had basic engineering training. All Mars facility leaders did, but this was well beyond her expertise. Still, she had to try. Okay, she muttered to herself, examining the controls. Emergency restart sequence. Power down. Purge the systems. Reset the... She trailed off as her eyes caught something odd. A simple maintenance panel, slightly ajar, with a burned-out power coupling clearly visible. Sarah stared at it for a long moment, then began to laugh. All their sophisticated systems, all their advanced technology, and the problem was a basic hardware failure. She reached for the panel, her pressure suit making the simple task awkward and difficult. Back in the research chamber, unnoticed by the evacuating staff, the armor's surface patterns had stopped their random flow. They now displayed what appeared to be a wide smile. Sarah managed to replace the coupling with a spare from her toolkit, her movements clumsy in the bulky suit. It wasn't elegant, but it would work. As she initiated the restart sequence, she could already hear the atmospheric processors humming back to life. When she returned to the research chamber hours later, after overseeing the facility's recovery, she found Raj waiting for her with an odd expression on his face. "Dr. Chen," he said carefully, "you might want to see this." The armor stood where it always had, but something was different. Its surface patterns had changed completely. Gone were the flowing random designs. Instead, a clear message scrolled across its surface in multiple languages. Practicale probabilium solving DTKTED. Candidate hirai netate. INITYALIZATIO EQENC beginning. Sarah watched, mouth agape, as the armor began to move for the first time in 100,000 years, its surface flowing like liquid metal as it reformed itself, shrinking and reshaping until it stood exactly her height. "You mean," she said slowly, "after all the diplomatic missions, all the ceremonies, all the sophisticated attempts to activate it, all it wanted was someone who could fix a broken power coupling." The armor's surface rippled in what could only be described as amusement. A new message appeared. Creatoras value prekial scales over ceremmonoi well suum anahiritor. Behind her, Raj was frantically trying to document everything. "This is unprecedented. The implications for our understanding of ancient civilizations." Sarah barely heard him. She was too busy staring at the armor that was now clearly inviting her to step inside. "Well," she said, a smile spreading across her face, "I guess sometimes the simplest solution really is the best one." As she stepped forward, the armor opened like a blooming flower, ready to accept its first true candidate in 100,000 years. Not because she was the most diplomatic, or the most ceremonial, or the most technologically advanced, but because when faced with a problem, she'd simply fixed it. The armor closed around her, and Sarah Chin, doctor of Sinorchaeology, practical problem solver, and apparently the heir to an ancient legacy, felt like she was finally where she belonged. An unexpected candidate. Dr. Sarah Chen's connection with the armor lasted exactly 3 minutes and 42 seconds before everything went spectacularly wrong. The ancient technology had barely finished integrating with her nervous system when alarms began blaring throughout the research chamber. The armor's surface, which had been smoothly conforming to her body, suddenly froze mid-transformation. "Compatibility error," announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Genetic sequence incomplete. Partial match detected but insufficient for full integration." Sarah felt the armor beginning to withdraw, its liquid metal surface retreating like a tide. "Wait," she gasped. "I don't understand. You said I met the criteria." "Problem-solving aptitude confirmed," the voice replied, somehow managing to sound apologetic. "However, full genetic compatibility required for neural interface. Searching for better match. Please stand by." The armor deposited her gently on the floor before resuming its neutral stance, though its surface patterns now displayed what looked suspiciously like a loading animation. "Dr. Chen." Raj rushed forward to help her up. "Are you all right?" The readings we got during those few minutes were incredible. The energy output alone. I'm fine, Sarah interrupted, staring at the armor in frustration. Just disappointed and confused. What did it mean by partial match? Before anyone could respond, new alarms started blaring. But these weren't the armor's doing. These were environmental alerts again. Oh, come on, Sarah growled, checking the facility systems. The atmospheric processors are acting up again. We just fixed them. Actually, a new voice called from the doorway. That's why I'm here. Everyone turned to see a woman in standard maintenance coveralls, tool belt slung low on her hips, dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She was studying a diagnostic tablet with a frown. Lieutenant Carmen Ortiz, Engineering Corps. She introduced herself absently, still focused on her readings. Someone filed an emergency maintenance request after yesterday's system failure. I was already en route to Mars for another job, so they diverted me here. She looked up, taking in the research chamber and its occupants, though I wasn't expecting quite this many people watching me work. Sarah was about to explain that they were in the middle of something rather important when she noticed the armor's surface patterns had changed dramatically. Gone was the loading animation, replaced by what could only be described as intense interest. Full genetic compatibility detected, the armor's voice announced, causing Carmen to jump and nearly drop her tablet. Neural interface protocols initiating. What the? Carmen barely had time to speak before the armor seemed to liquid, flowing across the room like quicksilver and surrounding her before anyone could react. No, wait, Sarah called out, expecting another rejection. It's dangerous toe. She stopped mid-sentence, mouth hanging open. The armor wasn't rejecting Carmen. It was integrating. Perfectly. The liquid metal flowed around the maintenance technician like it had been made for her, which Sarah realized with growing amazement. Perhaps it had been. When the transformation finished, Carmen stood encased in the most advanced piece of technology ever discovered, looking about as surprised as someone who had accidentally walked into the wrong room at a party. Neural interface complete, the armor announced, sounding distinctly pleased. All systems optimal. Genetic profile matches creator parameters at 99.97%. Welcome, inheritor. Carmen said, looking down at herself. I think there's been a mistake. I'm just here to fix the atmospheric processors. The armor's surface rippled with what seemed like amusement. No mistake. You are exactly what we have been waiting for. Your genetic profile, problem-solving aptitude, and technical expertise match the criteria set by the creators. But I'm just a maintenance technician. Precisely, the armor replied. The creators were not warriors or philosophers or politicians. They were engineers, builders, fixers. They seeded countless worlds with life, watching and waiting for a species to evolve that shared their practical approach to the universe's problems. Sarah watched this exchange with a mixture of scientific fascination and personal chagrin. All this time, she muttered, we thought we were dealing with some profound mystical artifact, when really we were just taking a technical proficiency test. Speaking of technical proficiency, Carmen interjected, somehow managing to sound professional despite being encased in ancient alien technology. Your atmospheric processors are still acting up. Mind if I take a look? This suit seems to have some pretty advanced diagnostic capabilities. Before anyone could respond, she was already moving toward the environmental control center, the armor adapting to her movements as naturally as breathing. The assembled scientists watched in amazement as humanity's first successfully bonded user of ancient alien technology began doing exactly what she had come there to do. Routine maintenance. Oh, here's your problem. Carmen's voice came through the armor's communication system. Whoever fixed this yesterday did a decent job with the emergency repair, but the power coupling they used isn't rated for the load. Plus, there's significant wear on the secondary regulators. Give me about an hour, and I'll have it running better than new. Sarah looked at Raj, who was frantically trying to document everything. Are we really just going to let her do maintenance while wearing the most significant archaeological discovery in human history? A holographic display suddenly appeared in the air, showing the armor's internal logs. Actually, the armor's AI commented, "This is exactly what the creators would have wanted. Would you like to see the maintenance records from their era? They were quite meticulous about documentation." And that's how the most advanced piece of technology ever discovered began its new life as the galaxy's most overqualified maintenance suit, piloted by a human who insisted on filing proper work orders for every repair she made to the facility's systems. The armor, for its part, seemed delighted with this development. Its surface patterns occasionally displayed helpful diagnostic information, and if anyone looked closely, they might notice it had added a small holographic "Safety First" sign to its shoulder. The implications of this discovery would change humanity's understanding of their place in the galaxy forever. But for now, Carmen had a job to do, and apparently, she had inherited the universe's most sophisticated toolbox to help her do it. Legacy of the Ancients. 24 hours after Lieutenant Carmen Ortiz accidentally inherited an ancient alien maintenance suit, the Mars Research Facility was running at 143% efficiency. Every system had been optimized, every machine calibrated to perfection, and even the coffee makers were performing better than their original specifications. "I still don't understand," Dr. Sarah Chen said, watching Carmen, now fully integrated with the armor, effortlessly repair a quantum stabilizer while simultaneously monitoring 17 different facility systems through holographic displays. Of all the criteria they could have chosen, why maintenance skills? The armor's eye responded, its voice resonating through the chamber. The creators believe that true civilization is built not on grand philosophies or military might, but on the ability to maintain and improve what you have. They saw the universe as one vast system requiring constant maintenance. Carmen nodded, her movements perfectly synchronized with the armor. "Makes sense to me. No point having fancy technology if you can't keep it running." She paused, examining a readout. "Though I have to admit, some of these maintenance logs are pretty wild. Did you know they once rebuilt an entire star?" "They what?" Sarah nearly choked on her coffee. "Oh yeah," Carmen replied casually, as if discussing a routine repair job. "Apparently, it was losing mass too quickly, so they built a containment field and adjusted its fusion rate. The logs are really detailed about proper safety procedures for stellar maintenance." Before Sarah could process the implications of casual star repair, the facility's alert system activated. But this time, it wasn't a mechanical failure. "Multiple unidentified vessels approaching," the security system announced. Energy signatures matched known pirate configurations. Sarah rushed to the command center, Carmen following close behind. The screen showed 5 ships, their designs a hodgepodge of stolen technology, approaching the facility's orbit. "Pirates?" Carmen asked, the armor's surface shifting to display tactical information. "Out here." "They must have heard about the armor," Sarah growled. "We've been getting all kinds of unwanted attention since it activated." The pirates' demands came through moments later, their leader's scared face filling the main screen. "This is Captain Vex of the Free Salvage Fleet. We know you've got active creator tech down there. Hand it over, and we'll leave your facility intact." "Mostly." Carmen looked at the tactical displays, then at Sarah. "The facility's defenses aren't designed for this kind of threat. Even with the optimizations I made, we can't hold off 5 ships." "Then we evacuate," Sarah decided. "We can't let them get the armor." "Actually," Carmen said, a hint of amusement in her voice, "I think I have a better idea. Hey, AI, those maintenance logs you showed me, the ones about stellar engineering. Any chance this suit can do something similar on a smaller scale?" The armor's surface rippled with what could only be described as enthusiasm. "Affirmative. All creator technology is designed with scalability in mind. Would you like to review the safety protocols for gravitational field manipulation?" "Just the quick version," Carmen replied, already moving toward the facility's airlock. "Dr. Chen, You might want to warn everyone to secure any loose objects. Things are about to get a bit technical." Sarah watched in amazement as Carmen stepped out onto the Martian surface, the armor adapting instantly to the harsh environment. Holographic displays sprang to life around her, showing complex calculations and diagnostic readouts. "What exactly are you planning?" Sarah asked through the comm system. "Well," Carmen replied, sounding for all the world like she was about to perform routine maintenance rather than face down 5 pirate ships. "These ships obviously need some work. Their engine configurations are terribly inefficient, and don't even get me started on their power distribution systems. I think it's time for some emergency repairs." The pirates, watching a single figure step out onto the Martian surface, seemed confused. "What is this?" Captain Vex demanded. "Some kind of surrender?" "Not exactly," Carmen replied. "The armor system's coming fully online. This is a safety inspection, and I'm afraid your vessels aren't up to code." What happened next would be debated in engineering circles for years to come. Using the armor's advanced technology, Carmen didn't just fight the pirates, she repaired them. Forcefully, localized gravitational fields adjusted their orbits. Targeted energy pulses recalibrated their engines mid-flight. One particularly aggressive ship found its weapons systems completely re-engineered into atmospheric processors. "There," Carmen announced casually as the last ship floated helplessly, its systems completely reimagined for peaceful purposes. "Much better. Though you'll want to have those new configurations checked by a licensed technician within the next 30 days. The pirates, their ships now better suited for atmospheric filtration than combat, retreated in confusion. Captain Vex's final transmission consisted mainly of sputtered protests about the unauthorized modifications to his vessel, to which Carmen simply replied with a detailed maintenance schedule. Back inside the facility, Sarah stared at the maintenance technician who had just defeated 5 pirate ships by essentially fixing them against their will. That was incredible. But why didn't you just disable them? The armor's AI answered for her. The creators believed that destruction was inefficient. Why disable when you can improve? Every problem is an opportunity for optimization. Speaking of optimization, Carmen added, already reviewing new system diagnostics, I noticed some interesting possibilities for improving our orbital defense grid while I was out there. Want me to take a look at that next? Sarah just shook her head, laughing. The galaxy had expected the creator's legacy to be weapons or philosophical insights. Instead, they got the universe's most sophisticated maintenance program, wielded by a human who saw every challenge as just another repair job. And somehow, that felt exactly right. Breaking protocol. News of the maintenance incident spread faster than light through the galaxy's quantum communication networks. The headlines were a mix of awe and confusion. Ancient alien armor defeats pirates through aggressive repairs, and creator technology found. Turns out it just wants to fix things. But not everyone was amused by this development. This is unacceptable, Admiral Xin declared, his hologram dominating the Mars facility's conference room. The most powerful artifact ever discovered, and it's being used to optimize coffee makers. Carmen, still wearing the armor, shrugged. Its surface rippled with diagnostic readouts of the very conference room they were sitting in. The left environmental vent is running at 82% efficiency, she noted. Mind if I take a look at that while we talk? Lieutenant Ortiz, the Admiral said through clenched teeth, this is a formal military inquiry. Please focus. Oh, I am focused, Carmen replied, the armor already extending a tendril to adjust the vent. I'm focused on the fact that suboptimal air circulation reduces cognitive function by 15%. There, much better. Dr. Sarah Chen, watching this exchange, tried not to smile. The past week had seen a parade of officials, all demanding the armor be used for their own purposes. Each had left frustrated by Carmen's stubborn insistence on treating their grand schemes as maintenance issues. The Galactic Defense Force requires this technology, the Admiral continued. We're facing threats from beyond the Outer Rim. We need weapons. The armor's AI chose this moment to interject. Query: have you considered maintaining diplomatic relations instead? Our records show a 78% correlation between mechanical system upkeep and peaceful conflict resolution. Before the Admiral could respond, new alarms blared through the facility. But these weren't the usual maintenance alerts Carmen had been cheerfully addressing all week. Multiple quantum signatures detected, the facility's AI announced. 23 vessels entering Mars orbit. Energy signatures match. Everyone. Actually. The conference room's displays lit up with images of ships from every major power in the galaxy. Military vessels, corporate cruisers, even a few that were clearly private interests trying to look official. Well, Sarah sighed. I guess everyone decided to stop asking nicely at the same time. The Admiral's hologram smiled grimly. The GDF vessels are there to secure the armor for humanity's protection. I suggest you cooperate, Lieutenant Ortiz. Carmen was studying the tactical displays with professional interest. You know what I'm seeing? A lot of ships running their engines way too hot. That's just asking for maintenance problems. She turned to Sarah. Mind if I go do some preventive repairs? This is not a maintenance issue, the Admiral shouted. This is a military situation. Everything's a maintenance issue if you look at it right, Carmen replied cheerfully. For instance, your blood pressure seems elevated. Have you had your cardiovascular system checked recently? The creators had some fascinating insights about biological maintenance. Before the Admiral could respond, the facility shook as the first warning shots were fired in orbit. Right, Carmen said, heading for the airlock. Time for some emergency repairs. Dr. Chen, you might want to get everyone to secure areas. Things are about to get efficient. What followed would be recorded in military textbooks as the Mars maintenance incident, though some preferred to call it the Great Repair. Carmen, wielding the full power of creator technology, didn't engage the fleet in battle. Instead, she began fixing ships. All of them. Whether they wanted it or not. Military vessels found their weapons transformed into high-efficiency waste recycling systems. Corporate ships had their profit-maximizing algorithms rewritten to prioritize sustainable operations. Private vessels discovered new subroutines dedicated to community service. Stop. Stop helping. One corporate commander pleaded as his ship's systems were optimized for environmental protection rather than resource extraction. Just a few more adjustments, Carmen replied, the armor extending multiple tendrils to simultaneously repair dozens of ships. Your energy efficiency was terrible. How did you even get these vessels certified? The Admiral watched in horror as his military fleet was transformed into what the armor's AI cheerfully described as peacekeeping maintenance vessels with an emphasis on infrastructure support. There, Carmen announced after an hour of frantic repairs. Everyone's ships are now running at peak efficiency, with a focus on beneficial community service. I've also taken the liberty of scheduling regular maintenance checks. You'll be receiving detailed documentation about your new systems shortly. The fleet, now better equipped to help colonies rebuild and conquer them, hung in Mars orbit like a collection of confused cleaning drones. This, the Admiral stuttered, this is not what weapons are for. Exactly, the armor's AI agreed. They make terrible tools for maintenance. Much better to repurpose them for constructive tasks. The creators were quite insistent about this in their documentation. Sarah, watching from the facility's command center, couldn't help but laugh. You know, she said to no one in particular, I think we all misunderstood what advanced civilization really means. We thought it was about power or knowledge. It's about maintenance, Carmen finished, returning to the airlock. Speaking of which, I noticed some interesting possibilities for improving Mars orbital infrastructure while I was up there. Want to hear my ideas? And so, the greatest attempted military action in recent history ended not with a battle, but with a comprehensive repair and optimization program. The various factions, their ships now better suited for helping than hurting, found themselves accidentally cooperating on infrastructure projects. The Admiral's hologram had long since cut out, but Carmen was already focused on her next task. "You know," she said, reviewing the facility's systems, "I think we could improve the coffee makers even more." The armor's surface displayed what could only be described as contentment. After all, what better legacy could the creators have left than turning the tools of conflict into instruments of improvement? Sarah just shook her head, smiling. The galaxy had wanted a superweapon, but what they got was something far more powerful: the universe's most dedicated maintenance program. Inheritors of the stars. 3 months after the Great Repair, the Mars Research Facility had become something entirely unexpected. A galactic maintenance hub. Ships from across the cosmos came not to fight over the armor, but to request repairs. Carmen, still synchronized with the creator technology, happily obliged everyone, though she insisted they file proper work orders first. "I still can't believe this is what the creators had in mind," Dr. Sarah Chen said, watching Carmen simultaneously repair a Centaurian cruise ship's engines and optimize a Regelian mining vessel's environmental systems. "The most advanced civilization in history, and their great legacy is a really good maintenance program." Carmen finished, the armor extending multiple tendrils to adjust various systems. "Makes perfect sense to me. Universe isn't going to take care of itself, you know." The armor's AI chimed in, its voice warm with approval. "The creators believe that true civilization is measured not by what it can build, but by what it can maintain. They searched for inheritors who would understand this fundamental truth." Sarah watched as Carmen finished her repairs, providing both ships with detailed maintenance schedules and safety recommendations. "And they chose humans. We're hardly the most advanced species out there. But you are the most practical," the AI replied. "Other species seek to conquer stars. Humans ask if the stars are running efficiently." As if to prove this point, Carmen was already focused on her next project. "You know," she said, reviewing some ancient schematics the armor had provided, "these creator maintenance logs have some fascinating ideas about planetary engineering. Mars' atmosphere could use some work." Before she could elaborate, the facility's sensors detected new arrivals. But unlike the military fleet from 3 months ago, these ships were different. Energy signatures match creator technology, the facility's systems announced. Multiple vessels approaching Mars orbit. They watched in awe as ships seemingly made of liquid metal, their surfaces rippling with familiar diagnostic patterns, descended from the sky. They were beautiful, but not in a showy way. Every curve, every feature served a clear purpose, form following function, perfected. A hologram appeared in the facility's main chamber, showing a figure that looked surprisingly human-like, wearing what appeared to be very advanced maintenance coveralls. "Greetings, inheritors," the figure said warmly. "We are the maintenance corps of the Creator Fleet. We've been monitoring your progress." Carmen, somehow maintaining her composure, raised an eyebrow. "Your quantum stabilizers are running a bit hot," she noted professionally. "Want me to take a look at that?" The hologram laughed. "You see, this is exactly why we chose humans. 3 months of having access to our most advanced technology, and your first response to meeting us is to offer maintenance assistance." Sarah stepped forward. "You're actually still out there all this time?" "Of course," the figure replied. "Someone has to maintain the galaxy's basic systems. Stars don't stabilize themselves, you know. We've been waiting for a species that understands this fundamental truth." While others sought to rule or transcend, the armor's AI added, "Humans persistently asked practical questions. How does it work? Can it be improved? Has it been properly maintained?" The hologram nodded. "We've watched your species evolve, helping subtly here and there. A nudge to your genetics to enhance problem-solving skills, a slight boost to your practical creativity. We weren't creating warriors or philosophers. We were cultivating maintenance engineers." Carmen was already reviewing the creator ship schematics that the armor was sharing with her. "Your secondary power distribution could be optimized," she muttered absently, "if you were out through the auxiliary circuits. You see," the hologram said to Sarah, while others would be asking about the mysteries of the universe. She's trying to improve our ships. Perfect. The creator representative turned serious. The galaxy needs maintenance more than ever. Climate systems need adjustment. Stellar networks require optimization. And do not get us started on the state of most species' waste management protocols. We'd like to offer humanity a position. What kind of position? Sarah asked, though she had a feeling she knew the answer. Universal Maintenance Court, the hologram replied. It's time for us to retire. Let some new blood take over the family business, so to speak. We've left caches of our technology across the galaxy, all keyed to human genetic markers and practical problem-solving aptitude. Lieutenant Ortiz here has proven the concept admirably. Carmen finally looked up from her diagnostic readings. Wait, you want humans to take over maintaining everything? Who better? The hologram smiled. You're the only species we found who sees a mysterious alien artifact and immediately checks its power efficiency. You don't seek to conquer the galaxy. You want to optimize it, improve it, make it run better. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't chosen to be great warriors or philosophers. They were chosen to be the galaxy's maintenance crew, and somehow that felt more important than any military victory or philosophical breakthrough. There is one condition, the hologram added. You'll have to fill out the proper paperwork. We're very strict about documentation. Carmen grinned. Already started on the forms, she said, the armor displaying multiple holographic work orders. Also, I've prepared a complete report on potential efficiency improvements for your fleet, with detailed recommendations for preventive maintenance. The creator representative beamed with pride. See. Perfect. Now, about Mars' atmosphere, we have some suggestions for optimizing the terraforming process. Would you like to review the maintenance protocols? And so, humanity found its true place in the cosmos, not as conquerors or mystics, but as the species that keeps everything running smoothly. The stars themselves would be maintained, planets optimized, and every piece of technology in the galaxy would finally get the regular maintenance it deserved. Carmen insisted on starting with Mars, though. After all, those atmospheric processors weren't going to optimize themselves. As Sarah watched humanity's first official handover briefing from the original Universal Maintenance Court, she couldn't help but smile. They had been looking for profound mysteries in the stars, when all along the most important thing was making sure those stars were running efficiently. The armor's surface displayed what looked like a mission accomplished message, followed by a helpful reminder about scheduled maintenance checks. The universe, it seemed, was in good hands. All it took was a species practical enough to ask, "Have you tried turning it off and on again?"